Indie filmmakers are being gatekept. The price of entry to direct a movie is to have already directed a movie for no money. So I'm going to make a micro-budget movie. I'm going to leverage Unreal Engine. I'm going to broadcast the whole thing on this channel, and you can follow along and do it yourself. Anyone can make a movie in Unreal Engine. That's the goal. My name's MXBell and I work on all these things, and I'm here to teach you how to make films in Unreal Engine. Welcome to Realtime Workflows. Hey, welcome to Realtime Workflows. I thought today we'd get out of the office and into the cheap showiness of nature so I can talk to you about our next series on the channel. The price of entry, no matter how much time you spend in the film industry, the price of entry to direct a movie is to have already directed a movie, all right? So if you want someone to give you money to direct a movie, doesn't matter how good the script is, you have to have already directed a movie. So that means, logically, you have to have directed a movie for no money. This has been bugging me for a while. We took projects to markets and we've had people read the scripts, love the scripts, and just go, yeah, we're interested when we can see a rough cut. Which what that means is they want you to go and raise the money to make the film, and when they can actually sit and watch the film, then they might consider parting with some money. But that's not the stage that we need the money, is it, as filmmakers? We need someone to put some money up so we can actually go and film the fucking thing. It could happen this year. Trenchfoot is, has executive producers and sales agents and everything else.
They're all dead.
Was ist passiert?
Ein Geist im Gas.
What did he say?
Ghost. In the gas.
But so far, we have not yet managed to finance the film. So what to do? I'm going to make a micro-budget movie. I'm going to leverage Unreal Engine. I'm going to broadcast the whole thing on this channel, and you can follow along and do it yourself. Anyone can make a movie in Unreal Engine. You don't need to have spent all the time that I've spent doing VFX and 3D and everything else. Unreal Engine makes it possible. And with the videos on this channel and with this series, I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to lead by example by actually doing it. I trained as an animator, and one of the things I learned as an animator is the three-stage process of developing animation. That process is blocking, refining, polishing, okay? When I made my short film, I blocked it very quickly, then I spent ages refining it, and then when I was happy with the story, I finished it, polished it, finished it, done. And we're gonna take that approach. We're gonna block out the movie from a first draft of the script. We're going to be rewriting the script as we go with the edits live in Unreal Engine. Get as much out of Unreal Engine final pixel as you can, and then once we're happy with the story, we've got what's called a rough cut. And then either finish it yourself or take that rough cut out, and then you can start talking to people about financing when they can actually sit and watch the film. The rough cut is what the sales agents and distributors and people ask for when they don't want to give you any money, right? So the rough cut is super important because you're going to be able to sit someone down and show them the movie, show them the prototype of the movie. Where's my dog following us? There she is. Come on. There are several ways to make a movie in Unreal Engine. You could go full animation, right? You could do green screen. You could do virtual production if you happen to have LED walls and such, or some hybrid. It could be any combination of those things, and that will be largely up to you and largely up to the kind of movie that you want to make. Now the question is, are you going to be able to make the movie that you want to make? And the answer is no. The advice given to screenwriters, if you want to get a movie made, is to write something that's producible, write something that's low budget and producible. And unfortunately, that's where we have to start, is with the screenwriter's advice of, if you want to have a movie get made, you have to make it producible. The kind of film we're going to make is going to be a genre film, right? Now, what's a genre film? Now, you might know what a film genre is, but do you know what a genre film is? You probably don't, and to be honest, nobody really does. It's difficult to define. A genre film is something that already has a niche, has a built-in audience. Usually it means some form or variant of horror or like a niche thriller, something like that. It basically means built-in audience, and it's where a lot of filmmakers will get their start, making genre films. Often filmmakers get their start with horror. So we're going to be making a genre film purely because making a drama film in Unreal Engine is kind of like, what's the point? If you're going to make a drama, just go fucking film it with an iPhone like I'm doing right now, right? So we're going to make a genre film. let me tell you about my two engines theory. A film has two engines. It has a story engine and an action engine. This is particularly applicable for genre films, all right? So the story engine is pretty obvious. I mean, that's the human element, it's the relationship element, it's the character arcs and all that kind of stuff. And it's the thing that's established in what we call a logline, which is a one-sentence version of the film. That usually represents the story engine. Usually you can usually go back to the logline whenever you're struggling, and you can kind of tell, like, am I on the right lines with this story? And if the logline was working to start with, then you can usually solve any problems right there. The logline's where I always start, and it's where we'll start as well in this series. So the logline is the story engine. Brody, dog's got me tangled up. The other engine that I want you to think about is the action engine, and that's where Unreal Engine comes in, because Unreal Engine is a game engine. So your action engine is going to be the thing that we're going to get a lot of our footage from. It's going to be the action scenes, the thing that drives the action scenes. So an action engine for a movie, if you think about a movie like Fast and Furious, right? The story engine is probably something to do with family. I don't know, I don't really watch them, but something to do with family, I think, right? But the action engine is car chases, right? That's the thing that's going to fall back on multiple times through the movie and deliver an exciting car chase. The car chase is the action engine. In a movie like Rocky, it's boxing, right? So you're going to choose an action engine, and the action engine that you're going to choose is one that's going to be enabled by Unreal Engine. So what that means is, when you've got your Unreal project open and you hit play, the game that it runs, the game that you're kind of gonna make a game. Don't worry, it's not difficult. They basically come pre-packed for the marketplace. But the game that's going to start is your action engine. With Pressing Ridge, my action engine, even though it wasn't in that much of the movie, the thing that the game can help me with was the truck. I don't like animating vehicles. First thing I did was made a drivable truck. And that meant I could record the truck's motions, and I got that then basically for free, and as much of it as I needed for free. For your movie, for my movie, the action engine, we're going to milk it for all it's worth. We're going to make sure we get as much stuff out of that, because it's basically free, right? So here's an example. This is not the movie I'm going to make, it's one that I just thought of as an example. So let's say it's a tank movie, right? The story engine is going to be the two guys that are in the tank, right? So we've got, again, a producible format here. We've got two guys in a tank. The story engine is the relationship of those two guys. That's the story engine. They're probably not going to leave the tank. If they do, probably just going to be right at the end. Maybe once or twice they might leave. That's the story engine. The action engine, right? The thing that you're going to have Unreal Engine do for you is tank battles, right? And I nearly guarantee you could go, and obviously I'm not at a computer right now, but I can nearly guarantee that you could go to the Unreal Marketplace, to Fab, and buy for 40, 50 quid a really good tank simulator, right? Tank battle game, tank battle simulator, whatever it is. And then what we would do, we'll build out the sequences, the action sequences, we'll build out the relationship story, so working on the two story engines simultaneously whilst working in Unreal Engine and writing. And then we will use MetaHumans as a stand-in for the two guys in the tank. Then when we've got the story working, when everything's working, we would, if this was the film, which I think is a pretty good idea actually, so like, could be a film. When we've got an entire working cut of the film in Unreal Engine, once we know that the film works, with MetaHumans as a stand-in for real actors, assuming that you want to make it live action, you could make it animated if you want to. We can then go and shoot on green screen our two guys in the tank, right? Then all we do is drop those in, and ipso facto, finished film, or at least a rough cut, right? In fact, to be fair, you wouldn't even need the actors for the rough cut if the MetaHumans were good enough, and maybe use a bit of AI in there, I don't know. So here's what we're going to cover in the coming weeks. We're going to cover choosing your story engine via means of a logline, and choosing your action engine. We're going to cover how to set up your action engine so that you can press play on Unreal Engine, and it's a game that you can play, and you can record the various elements, the enemies, your character, everything else. For example, in our tank movies, we would be recording tanks, explosions, enemy tanks, things like that. We're going to cover film structure, we're going to cover beat boards, screenwriting, software, all the rest of it, and then through the mechanics of actually making the thing in Unreal Engine and exporting it and making a final movie. And we're going to go through the whole thing over the course of probably the next year. We're going to go through the whole thing together. So if that sounds good, like, follow, subscribe and all that stuff. And in the next video, we'll get to some specifics. Catch you down the road.